What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. Hi everybody, it's Shauno again, and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing our round 23 review, plus our captain's choices for round 24. I don't think there's going to be too many people out there with trades, so we're probably not going to talk too much about that. Now, before we get on with it, if you're still watching now, you're probably a hardcore Supercoach player, and not only that, you're probably a hardcore Shauno supporter. So thank you so much for your support. I know a lot of us are switched off by this time of the year, so if you're watching this video, please hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribe, do that for me now. That helps me out a lot. And leave me a comment down below to let me know how you did this week and how your overall score is looking. Yes, with all this carnage that we've been having. So before we go ahead and get on to it, there's not much else to go on with, except I will say, sorry I didn't put out a live video last week. There doesn't seem to be a lot of interest this time of year, and probably not too much to talk about. So I've decided that we're only going to do the one video per week at the moment until the end of the season. Do keep an eye out. Next week we probably will do two though, or we'll combine our round review with our team for the finals, the final Supercoach game, where I believe you can win a car worth like 70k. So that's definitely going to be one to watch and to check out. So keep an eye out for that one. That one will be next week once the finals are settled and we know who's playing who, because I think the fixture will be an important part on who I'm going to be picking. Anyway, let's get on with the team. This week we scored a 2,253. That doesn't sound great, but it's still not a bad round rank. It shows how many people are struggling out there, potentially with zeros or injuries. I did have a full team adjust. So takes my overall ranking to the season, 31,613. Still a terrible ranking, but it was up 2,000 places. So I think I've gone up every week since, for the last 5 or 6 weeks. If we had actually had a decent ranking, like, under 20,000 at that point, we'd probably be in the top 10,000 by now. It was just had a very average first half of the season. Anyway, we can get into the team, but before we do, I've got a little bit of a rant. I know you guys and girls out there love the Shauno rant, so I've got a bit of a rant.
I'm mad!
Thank God his pants stayed on.
Now, it's not going to be actually too Supercoach relevant, more my team relevant. So you can always skip past this if you don't want to hear the rant, but this is about my boys, the Eagles. I am an Eagles supporter, and the coach came out, not this week, but the week before, after a shocking kicking display in front of goals and said, oh, we wouldn't make our players, train or, train kicking goals all day because they might get injured. One of the stupidest things I've ever heard a coach say. If you're getting injured as an AFL player by taking set shots at goal, then I think you're in the wrong sport. Running, sure. Tackling, sure. Trying to take a mark, sure, getting injured. But if you're just taking set shots and you're getting injured, then, maybe I would say put on a tutu and take up, being a ballerina, but that would probably be an insult to the ballerinas out there. Like, if you're kicking over 10 points a game, if you're kicking like 4 or 5 goals and 10 points plus a game, surely you need to work on your kicking. And if you stood out there in the field and kicked the ball all day, even better, get yourself a goal-kicking coach, which I know most clubs don't have, which seems crazy as it's one of the main parts that wins you the game. So anyway, that's my rant. Minnie McWalter, what a stupid thing to say, that you don't want your players to practice kicking goals too much because you're afraid they might get injured. Just a very stupid thing. I think you could have thought of something much smarter to say than that. I don't think anyone believes you that you don't think that, the players should practice kicking, as much as they possibly can, basically. If every point you get, I think you should have to do, you know, 20 practice shots at goal. So if you kick 10 points, it's 200 practice shots at goal. Anyway, let's get on with the team. That's enough for the rant for today. All right, how'd the team do? Let's go to the back line like we normally do. Whitfield 109, not bad. We'll take from Whitfield. Josh Dacos has been showing up the last couple of weeks. Got a 123, very nice this week. Callum Wilkie 105 is nice, but he was on like 50 at quarter time, so it could have been a lot bigger. But we'll still take the 105. Lockie Ash 144, nice to see a big score out of him. Been a bit down lately. And Clark has also another one's been showing up a little bit over the last few weeks with a 114. Doesn't mean he gets off my never again list, but it's nice to see him get a decent score. And then we took Hall Kahan's 61 here instead of going with a Dirksen, which was obviously the right move here. I was worried that Dirksen may have his score might have been reduced because of Wiedering being back to the team, which looks like it was. So that was all right. Then we had Dacos got 110, Will Ashcroft 120, Matt Rowell 118, Bailey Smith 98, Bont had himself a rest, Walsh with 112, Will Day been very disappointing, only had the one score over 100 I think since I've got him in with a 58, and Joel Fitzgerald 69. Can't complain about a rookie actually playing for us. None of my bench played. Then we've got Gawn, who was my captain. Now, I did make Will Ashcroft my vice captain, and I chose to not take the 120. Now, why did I do this? I did it because there's nothing to lose at this time of year. I'm not left in any of my league matches. I'm not going for the overall score anymore. So I thought, why not swing for the fences and try to get a big round score and let it ride on Max Gawn, and I did, and he got the 139, so it worked out for me. Very nice. Luke Jackson, 111, good back after he had a rest the week before, didn't he? Or yep, I believe he back. Harry Sheasel, 59, and got injured. Just add this to the disastrous season of injuries. It's a bit of a war of attrition out there. So another one down. He's probably going to be out for a little bit, you would think, but we will see when the injury list comes out on Tuesday. Jason Francis, 90. Pickett, 70. Sharp, 86. Hasn't Sharp been awesome since he's come back in the team? The Thrill Thorpe, a 70. And Petrarca, a 34. How bad has Petrarca been? Really, I don't think we need to discuss it. He's just been terrible. And a Brody Grundy or a Brundy, we can call him a Brundy from now on if we like, with 114, which is very nice. So as you can see, with the Bont being out, we did not have a flex position. As you say, we only had the 22 playing, and if Sheasel is out this week, it looks like we will probably have a 0 on our field, which will be very unfortunate. We've got 2 rookies in the back line that are playing, but unfortunately no one in the midfield and no DPP to get someone down there to play for Sheasel, unfortunately. So that's how the team did. Crew, overall, not too bad, not too good. Not the best score at this time of year. So, but with all the injuries and carnage going on, I still, as we saw, it still did quite well as overall compared to the rest of the league. Now, we don't really need to talk about trades. If you've got trades left for this last round, well, obviously you should probably use them. Go for your matchups. If I'm looking here, if you happen to have a Sydney, if you've got a trade left and you don't have some of the Sydney boys like Heaney or Goulden, I'd be looking to get them in. Port versus Essendon, maybe a Jason Hall-Francis if you need someone in the forward line. Geelong versus Richmond, you could always go a Bailey Smith if you didn't already had him. And yeah, that's what I would be doing. I'd be targeting the matchups this week. So, if you need a trade, or if you need one up someone in your league grand final, and a big congratulations to everyone out there who's made their league grand finals. We will go through and give a big congratulations next week to everyone who won the leagues in my in my leagues, which I put out pre-season. So we'll do that next week, though. We won't do it this week. We'll congratulate all the winners. What we will do, though, is we will talk about captains. So let's do our segment that we like to call Oh Captain, My Captain. Okay, so let's have a look what we have in the way of games. So St Kilda versus Gold Coast. Don't love too many people here. Maybe a sneaky Brad Hill as a vice captain. I still don't really trust any of the Gold Coast guys. Matt Rowell's had a couple of good games. Could try him, but I think there are better options. Collingwood versus Brisbane. Will Ashcroft's been pretty consistent against all the teams he's playing, so I think he's a valid vice captain. And even Dacos, he might get some attention by Dunkley, maybe, but he seems to be breaking and doing quite well against the tags. So, averaging 120 across the entire season. When he normally plays Brisbane, how does he go? 110, 172, and 112. So, considering it's Brisbane, I think that's fair. And he has to be in the talking for a vice captain option. Carlton versus Freo. I guess we could consider Luke Jackson. How does he do against the big Pitnet? 147, 142, and 91. So he could be a valid vice captain option for sure. So definitely keep that one in mind. Maybe that's the one that I like so far for my team the most. Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. Gawn versus English. Probably Gawn is the only one that I'd be thinking about here. And 114, 142, and 162. So I think that is also another very good option. And I think looking at my team, maybe we change and go Gawn as our vice captain, which is a midday or around the middle of the day on Saturday. Then you've got Geelong versus Richmond, so maybe we can go into Bailey Smith, who's been very up and down lately, but, I assume that against an easy beat like Richmond, he should get some decent scores. Got 129 when he played them last year. He got the 161, not this week, but the week before, but besides that, it's been a few weeks since he hit 100, so I don't know if I can trust him. Adelaide versus GWS. Rankinen has been on fire, so I think he definitely has to be in the talking points for your captains. I would potentially have a go at him as my captain if I had him. Essendon versus Port. I guess you could look at Jason Horne-Francis, but I don't think he's got the ceiling that I would want. And Sydney versus North, I think definitely if you've got Goulden, I would be going him as my captain and potentially Heaney as well, even though he's been a bit down lately. So who am I going to pick for my team? I think we will vice captain Gawn and captain maybe Bailey Smith. Is there anyone that I like to go into Gawn? Will Ashcroft into Gawn, because I think Gawn could be the top scorer. So maybe we'll do it that way. Will Ashcroft into Gawn again. We've gone Will Ashcroft the last few weeks. So he seems pretty consistent and he seems to be the number one guy in Brisbane's midfield. And I think next year, especially with Lachie Neale leaving, he could be one of those guns that I'll be picking in my initial starting squad. We will have to see, though, won't we? But it's not too far away, really. We're almost at the end of the season. So anyway, that is the captains for this round. Again, if we can go out and you can see my full team if you like. I know it's a bit smaller now these days. But before we do that, as usual, I've forgotten to do the MVP, most valuable player of my team. So I'll cut this into the video later on. And so this week, being that Max Gawn was my captain, I gave him the 3 points, which has actually taken him to the lead. Now he's one in front of Bont. So, Bont is going to have a good game this week if he wants to win the MVP in Shauno's team. Lachie Ash got 2 points and Josh Dacos got 1 point. Now, if I have a quick look at this, it means if Sheasel's out, he can't win. It looks like the only person who could win is Bont. Looks like Max Gawn has almost wrapped it up. it is going to go down to that last week. If Bont plays, he has a chance to, he just has to get 2 points or better. But otherwise, the old Max Gorn looks like he's in a really good spot to receive the Dennis Committee medal for Shauno's team this year. Anyway, crew, let's get on with it. Thank you very much. Yep. So I hope you enjoyed that video, crew. Like I said, I really appreciate everybody still watching. I know we all feel like the season's a bit over, but so I really appreciate anyone watching the video. I really, really appreciate it if you like the video. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that now. And yeah, leave me a comment down below letting me know how you did last week. Shauno got no comments last week, which made him very sad. Not really, but I do enjoy chatting to you guys and girls out there in the community. So if you feel like leaving me a comment, please do. And hopefully I will talk to you all again next week. And until then, have a great week and I will speak to you soon.